tied into the next question that we had there, which was how to make sure your clients are progressing or even yourself are progressing. So Prantik, do you want to have a thought in there? Like, how do you make sure you're progressing? So going from point A to point B being, something you can do.
Progressive. Well, progressing to me, as you know, was seasonal. So the best way to be progressive is, as Nick says, obviously you don't have to really write down everything or note down, oh, I'm doing 3 sets on the 50s today, so next week I'm going to put it up. But having a general overall plan of progression, like the fact, here's where I want to introduce progressive overloading, because I've been training in that same fashion, probably from the time when I've started to train correctly. And progressive overloading, actually, I've seen it's effective in my case. It might be effective in everyone's case, because a lot of people on the internet says, try everything, try giant sets, try this, try that. Definitely, a person should give everything a go to see what actually acts for them, and whatever actually works for them is progress. And I feel like adhere to it, adhere to a certain thing that works for you. So if vanilla ice cream is your favorite, so adhere to it rather than going for a raspberry banana split or something like that. I guess things get complicated, and you're not in your comfort zone. But it's not being how let me put it in the correct way. Not being in the comfort zone is good, but not being in a comfort zone where you're not comfortable being in the comfort zone, if you know what I mean. It's like Inception.
I watched that movie last night, legit.
So dreaming into your dream, so something like that. So not being comfortable in your not being comfortable in being in not your comfort zone is dangerous. That's where you should know your limits, and that's where I feel knowing where to progress and how to progress and having a plan to progress comes in. So this would probably be better explained by people like you guys who does personal training as profession, where you can definitely guide a client in the correct direction before they actually fall off the cliff. Some of the clients think that planet Earth is flat, so that's where you guys come in and tell them that, no, god damn it, it's round. So that's wrong as well. It's not actually round, it's ovoid. So that's the shape of it. Oh god damn it, it's not round, it's ovoid. So something like that. So stuff like that is what helps you put yourself back on the track of progression. So did you get the answer from that? Did I answer it correctly, Connor?
I liked how you answered it. I really liked how you tied into the psychology of it as well. Like, there's a principle of, progressive overload that we're probably going to have to talk about at this stage now, with the question being how to make sure your client's progressing. But I liked how you played on something that I wouldn't have initially jumped to, which is to have the mindset towards doing it and being mentally, good to doing it and knowing when to back off. Because again, one of the keys of progressing is just not regressing. It's a classic. You can take 2 steps forward, but if you're taking 3 steps back, that's not going to help you. So how to make sure clients are progressing? I think, the principle of progressive overload becomes particularly more important now. So with the gym, you have thresholds. So you have physical thresholds. So the audio people can't see my hand, but it will progressively raise. You have demands. So if you're used to this amount, eventually you need a bit more in order to progress. Now, there's a bit of argument of chicken or the egg, does adding 2.5 kilos to the bar, a rep, a set, a blah, 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 is that your form of progressing? Or can you add a 2.5 to the bar, add another rep, add another set, because you've already done the adaptations beforehand? And I actually believe that statement is more true. So it's almost like with the chicken and the egg style thing of progressive overload. You get the right stimulus, you'll eventually get an adaptation, which will allow you to do more. So you work your way at 100 kilos because you're used to it. You do the right stimulus, because with all these different thresholds, you're now able to do 2.5, if that's something that you're trying to do. So with this, basically it's hard to not talk about progressive overload without all the other principles, but the main principles you'll talk about is there's a minimum threshold And you can subsector that into, okay, there's a threshold for strength, endurance, all that. Subsector, there's a thing for hypertrophy, for strength, blah, blah, blah. Of hypertrophy, you got like thresholds for mechanical tension. You got thresholds for metabolic stress. You got thresholds for muscle damage, being like multiple mechanisms of hypertrophy. So you should make that subsector of that workout being more mechanical tension than previously. You know, as long as you can recover from the like, you will have an adaptation. Because those things eventually beat themselves down. And then that's the value of, okay, I've been working the mechanical tension pathway for a while. My thresholds, so my thresholds, how much I need, is pretty low for metabolic stress because I haven't been training it so much. So that's when Prantik can go from the vanilla ice cream back to the chocolate raspberry ice cream, and he can get the response now from a lower dose.
Banana split.
Banana split. Thank you for watching the Forge podcast. If you enjoyed it, we'd love for you to subscribe. If you want to find out more about us, check the description. And as always, thank you for listening.